Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to episode number 28.
That's the one.
Episode number 20 of the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast. And, ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, co-pilot, co-defendant is in the building.
That's it right here. E Major, Man Knows Hip Hop, the podcast that knows and celebrates hip hop. Slack, what's good, my bro?
Yeah, man, all good, bro, all good. So it's a bittersweet moment today. It's a bittersweet moment, as it's the last time that we'll be introducing the show as the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast. So we will be coming back bigger and better within a matter of weeks with a new name, a new show, bigger, better, enhanced, more power under the hood. So basically, the story goes, as some of you might know, the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast was actually created by someone other than ourselves. We didn't actually come up with the name. We were actually drafted in to do this podcast that we ended up taking over ourselves. So the name was never really something that we were working with as ours, but we've now created something that's ours. So we're gonna come back very, very soon with a whole new format, new everything, man, new and improved, as we said that we were going to do at the top of the year. So it's been in the works for a while, and looking forward to showing you guys when we come back. So stick with us. Nothing else is going to change. I mean, our Twitter pages and everything's going to remain the same, but we're going to revamp everything. And so our current Man Knows Hip Hop podcast page is going to change to the new name, the new logo, and everything else. So if you're following us there, much appreciated, much love. We're still going to be there, just under a different name. So just thank you for rocking with us for these 28 shows, man. We've really enjoyed doing it. We really enjoyed everything that's come from this little show. We've only been doing it not even a year.
Not even a year.
Even a year, man. So we just want to thank everybody who's tuned in, who's shared, who's liked, who's subscribed, who's spoken with us on the timeline and told us how much they like it and everything, man. So just from us, just enjoying talking about hip hop, that's all it's born from. Not interested in, being the best, the greatest, most popular and all that kind of stuff, man. If we got people that rock with us every week, we very much appreciate that, man.
Exactly.
We got our audience. We really appreciate that, but we're going to definitely step it up, man. We know that we need to move into more platforms as well, because you guys have been asking for that. So it's going to be much bigger, much better. So we'll have even more great topics and guests and interviews and everything else that we've done. Everything's just going to be better, man. So thank you once again, and we'll crack on with the show. E, you got anything to say, man, about our little sign off?
Yeah, just exactly what you said, man. I just echo that, man. First and foremost, the support, man. Really appreciate it. I could speak for me and Slack in this situation, man. I think we both were kind of overwhelmed with just the support. We just thought, let's just put our heads together, do something. You know what I mean? And people are really liking it, man, and enjoying it. So, and like Slack said, man, it's just us chopping up about the thing we love, man. So knowing that people tune in every week and are enjoying it too is a big thing for us, man. So yeah, stick with us, man. We're going to do a lot more and just really support the culture as well, man, and just help the culture to be furthered and grow as well, man. So yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, so for our last topic on the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast, man, tell the people. So
yes,
go for it, man.
Yeah, so what we're going to do today, man, we're going to look at labels. You know what I mean? So what we're going to do, we're going to chop it up about labels. We're going to look at the labels in hip-hop, the content, you know what I mean, the buildings that house the artists, man. So there's a lot of good discussions floating around about labels. And, this day and age we live in now, a lot of people don't see a need for a label. You know what I'm saying? We know the independent scene is huge and doing great things, man. So that's good to see as well. But we're from an era where what label you was on was crucial, man. It was important. One of the first things, or maybe not the first things, but one of the things you'd look for is who they signed to. You know what I mean? There'd be label wars for certain artists. You know what I mean? Like draft picks and that kind of stuff, man. So we just thought we'd break it up, have a bit of fun, throw some things out there as well about labels today. So stick with us, and yeah, man, should be a good one.
All right, cool. So how you want to start this off now?
Right, so I feel it's just a little joke thing, just a little fun vibe first. We're gonna do like a little quick fire round there. So just literally just I say a label, you say a label, I say a label, you say a label. We'll just carry on until someone has a brain
That's a
freeze
bad
and
moment.
stops. Yeah, so
Or mentions
we'll
the
just see
same
how it
one
goes.
twice.
Yeah, or mentions the same one twice. Good one. So yeah, that's
Mm.
it, bro. Just a little bit of fun to start the thing off. No memorizing, no practicing, none of that. Just see whatever labels come to head, man. All
All
right.
right, man.
All right. So
You want to kick it off?
let me kick off. Yeah. All right. So Death Row,
Loud.
Bad Boy,
Priority.
Payday,
Delicious Vinyl.
Nervous,
Ah, shit. That was the one I was going to do next. Oh, shit. Asylum.
Cash Money,
MMG.
Young Money,
Jive.
Tommy Boy.
Rockefeller.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's it called? Ah, I can't believe that, bro. That's actually terrible. Do you know how many I've got lined up in my head? And I fully went blank. Oh, that is actually a joke. I give it to you. That is actually
I
embarrassing.
want to go with. I had No Limit lined up,
I
ready to
see what I
go.
had in my head. And you know, the funny thing is, I could see all the artwork, you know, and I just went blank. I was thinking, No Limit. I saw the tank and everything. That is terrible, bro. That is terrible. Anyway, okay, you got it. You got it. All right. Props to you on that one.
All right, man. So,
yeah, man.
where you want to start with the labels? Now that I smashed your brains in at the game.
All right, man. So obviously there's loads of labels that I never got to shout out because I flopped. But let's look at our top 3 labels. And I know I like to give like disclaimers a lot, but I always want to make it clear because when we say top and favorites and all that, we're not necessarily saying the best, or might not even be our favorite. You know what I'm saying? But just like 3 labels to you that you think are really significant in hip hop. There might be a favorites, might be a top, whatever. And then with each label, one standout artist from that roster as well. Yeah. So yeah, we'll take it in turns. So you do a label and a standout artist, and I'll jump in after.
All right. Where to start, man? A label and a top artist. So many to pick from. I'll go with I don't know if I'd put as a standout artist though. All right, I'm gonna go with Loud as an obvious starter, and I could pick Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, Big Pun. Like that label is sorely underrated for the amount of greatness that was on there. But I'll go with the Wu-Tang, and simply because of just everything, the enormous influence, the catalog, the movement, the impact, everything that comes along with the Wu-Tang symbol. I think I got to go with them as the leaders on Loud.
All right, cool. I was actually going to go with Loud as well. No surprises there. So I'll go to my follow-up one, and I'm going to go to Def Jam. It was one of those ones, bro. Like most people that are into hip hop from a young age, what have you, we've all probably tried our hand at rapping or thought about being an MC or what have you. You know what I'm saying? And I know for me, man, even a little young kid in the UK, for me, it was all about Def Jam. Do you know what I'm saying? You're thinking that's the label, and you'd see that symbol. You know what I mean? That record player, whatever. You're like, yeah, Def Jam is the label, man. And like Loud, so many acts on there that are just iconic to hip hop, man, and legends in hip hop. The label's legendary as well. So if I want to go over a standout artist from Def Jam, I'm going to go Public Enemy. Yeah, definitely, man. You know, I was about to say they don't get the props they deserve, but I'm going to relinquish that statement. I think they do, but what I should say is that I don't think they can get enough props. You know what I'm saying? They're the hip hop act I've seen the most live. Just out the gate, man. Just classics, man. Just classics. And I know the word classic is thrown around, do you know what I mean, a lot nowadays. But
Way back to
really, exactly, there you go, man, full circle. But when you really look and understand what a classic is, man, not every artist has one. So to have one under your belt is an achievement. Do you know what I'm saying? Public Enemy, in my opinion, has got 4. You see what I'm saying? Minimum 3. You see what I'm saying? And yeah, so they've definitely got to be the standout artist for me on Def Jam. So yeah, Def Jam and Public Enemy.
Yeah, I can't really front on that one, man, at all. I would have definitely picked that as well. Because then you think Run DMC, you think LL Cool J, you think EPMD, you know what I mean? Beasties. But yeah, it's Public Enemy, I think, would be the staple on that label for me.
Yeah, man, 100
for sure. Second, I'll make it an easy one. I'll go with Death Row Records, and for me, I'd say the star was Snoop, and because I think we said on a previous episode as well, Snoop has kind of transcended hip hop, man. Like he's one of the most recognizable rappers ever. Like apart from the ones who are no longer here, like everyone knows Big and Tupac, but you know what I mean. I think their notoriety grew because you know of how they were killed, but Snoop to go from 19-year-old gangster to Uncle Snoop, you know what I mean, doing shows and all this kind of stuff, and he pretty much put his fingers in every single possible pie, from obviously movie career. I think he does something with American football, like a junior league or something. He's got, as I said, a cooking show. He's got gospel albums. He's done some fake reggae bullshit music. He's done
fake reggae.
He's done like multiple genres, and he's just a personality at this point. Like for him to be on Just Eat adverts and you know what I mean, stuff like that. I think he's probably the most recognizable rapper of all time. Every continent will know Snoop. Regardless if they listen to his music or not, they'll know who Snoop is. You know what I mean? So I think he is synonymous, and the fact that he owns Death Row again after all this time, I think that kind of draws everything up in a nice bow.
Definitely, man. Yeah, no, agreed. I also had that down, and I had Snoop down as well. Yeah, like you said, man, Death Row is Snoop. Do you know what I'm saying? It's one of those ones where you think about Death Row, obviously you're going to think about the earlier days, Chronic and things like that. But as a standout and a star of that, man, we spoke about Buzz. We've had an episode on the buzzes. Yeah, that buzz, you know what I mean? That was crazy. If you lived it, you know how insane it was. It was insane, man. And a lot of people, you know what I mean, revision this sometimes, or maybe you just weren't there, or you're younger and didn't experience it, or you look at Snoop, who he is today. And that's one of the things, you know, hip hop's 50 years old now. So you look at people, and you may say to them, you know, what's your favorite album from this artist, or what's your standout album from this artist, like episode we done last week. And they may turn around and say, you know, I don't know, Blue Carpet Treatment or something like that, or do you know what I mean? But we'd think straight away, come on, man, Doggy Style. But it all depends on your age, who you are, what he's impacted by. And with Snoop, man, he's just one of them people that's just been around, man. He just kind of just reinvents himself, and he's just here, like goes through the time. So definitely props to Snoop, man.
You know what's crazy though about that? He's only released one. He only released one good album on that label. When you actually think about it,
what was Dogfather? That was bad though. That was bad. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, one good album, man. That's actually insane. But you still do think of Snoop on Death Row, which is actually mad, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's actually true, because he released at least 2 or 3 on No Limit, didn't he?
He did, I think 2. Yeah, I think he did maybe 3 on No Limit. He did Top Dog, Last Meal, and that stupid one. Paid the cost. No.
Oh, yeah. Was it Paid the Cost to Be the Boss? Yeah.
No, that was later.
Was that?
That was later.
Yeah, I think that.
It had a long ass title, man. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, Paid the Cost to Be the Boss. That's what it is. But I can't remember what label that was. I don't.
No, I don't mean the album. I mean the one on No Limit. The one where it's kind of blue.
Oh, I got you.
I just can't remember what the name of the album was.
I'm blank, man.
But yeah, I think he did 3 albums on No Limit.
Yeah, that's mad. That's mad. But yeah, it's true. You think of him in Death Row. He is Death Row. He embodies Death Row, man. So
Yeah,
that's quite an interesting thing, actually, because even some of the people we mentioned today, they may not even have multiple albums on that label, but it's that label that you recognize
that
them
you
for.
associate. Yeah,
Yeah, that's mad.
exactly.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so I was gonna go at Death Row, so I'm gonna go with a follow-up one, and I'm gonna say just mentioned. I have to go with No Limit. Um, Call it bias, call it whatever you want. I'm not the biggest No Limit fan. I'm going to put that down to maybe being, in the UK. I want to say I was impacted more by just direct East and West, and then obviously I started filtering through to the South a bit more, thanks to Outkast, Giddy Mob, and things like that. But I've never been a huge No Limit fan. I am one of those people that never really took them seriously. What I mean by that is, before I really tapped into the music, all I saw was the extra artwork.
Incredible covers. Yeah,
You know what I mean? In the source and that, it would just be the mad, colorful, yeah, it was just a lot going on, man. And I never really took that too seriously. Obviously, in time, I realized they weren't really nothing to play with. But the reason I'm going to mention them is because it's very interesting when we think about years in hip hop. 97, 98, they dominated, man. The amount of work that they put out. Underneath that No Limit
I
label,
didn't see nothing
underneath
like that
Master,
in previous time.
never. You see what I'm saying? Like, insane amount. And
What was crazy with that as well? If
mm,
you had a No Limit album, when you open the CD cover, it will tell you what album was coming next week.
it was always something. Yeah,
It was always
yeah,
coming soon, and then it'll be like featuring Master P, Silk the Shocker, Mystical, blah 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 blah, and it'll have everything. And we never saw nothing like that. Like now,
nah.
you get track lists and all that before the album comes out. We never used to get that. So for us to see this album, these artists, you've already got the artwork, everything is just there, and
Yeah,
it's already
it was,
in the CD
boy,
cover. So the
it's so
advertising
true.
was next level, man. Like Master P was very smart, because as
He
soon
was
as you got
on
the
it.
album, if you like it, you're gonna obviously look out for whoever's coming next. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that was really smart.
Yeah, nah, you got to give No Limit their props, man. Like I said, not the biggest fan, or wasn't the biggest fan, or what have you, but you got to put in like that work ethic and what they was doing. Master P, I put him down as a standout artist. I've never really been a big fan of his rapping, you know what I'm saying? But when I think of No Limit, I think of Master P. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He is the brains behind that outfit, and that work he's putting in. Like we said, man, you're not just an artist putting out an album a year, what have you. He's there behind all of that, putting out his own albums. Like I'm sure he had a was it a 3 or 4 year run as well, where he was dropping himself every
I think
year
he
as
dropped
well.
twice in 1 year at some point. Like, yeah,
Right.
he was just
Probably 98, yeah, but
all the
yeah,
time.
definitely, man. So props, yeah. So that's the label I go with. I go with No Limit, and even now, it's always mentioned, man. You know what I'm saying? It's an iconic label, man. It's a You know what I'm saying? It's a benchmark for a lot of people, man. Yeah, man, definitely. Yeah, No Limit, Master P.
All right, man. I had So Def on my list as well as one of the labels until for the game and stuff. I think that was a good label, but I think The Face also was an excellent label. But I don't know if I call them a hip hop label, because they had a lot of
No,
they had Escape and TLC and all these other
yeah,
like
Tony
Babyface,
Braxton
had
and
all
all
these
that.
guys
Yeah.
on there. So I guess you could call it a hip hop label. Like that's definitely one of the most high quality labels ever. To have Outkast, Goody, and all of those guys, like Usher, and all those guys on that was one of the best labels ever. But I'm gonna go, for the sake of the show, I'm gonna go with Cash Money, and because Cash Money for me is probably the most successful. No, not even probably. It is the most successful hip hop label probably ever, ever. Regardless of what I think about many of the artists. When I first heard about Cash Money was the Hot Boy stuff. So this was probably 97. I think I was listening to like the Get It How You Live albums, like BG and that. And I really liked the Guerrilla Warfare album. I love that album. And it was weird because around them times, like a lot of people weren't listening to Southern hip hop. I was kind of one of the few who was listening to that kind of stuff. Like I really like Mystical. I really like Mac from No Limit as well. I think C Murder had a couple songs I liked. Even on the Ghetto D album, Master P had a couple tunes on there that I thought was hard. So I kind of was gravitating towards that kind of sound in around sort of when I was like 17, 18, maybe around that kind of age. And when Guerrilla Warfare came out, and actually We On Fire, that was crazy. And the whole album, I love that album to this day. So to see the reviews even the Source gave it like 4.5 mics.
Yeah,
and the
Source were exactly, bro.
That kind of love. So when I saw that, I was kind of shocked. Like, wow, even the Source are feeling this. Like, this is strange. But even if I listen to it now, it was just raw. Like that, like BG, Wayne, Juvie, like and Turk, they just had a chemistry that was just crazy. Obviously, I'd associate Lil Wayne as like the guy of the label, because without him, that label would have died a long time ago. You know what I mean? Juvie was gone, Manny was gone, BG went to jail, Turk went to jail. I think Baby was doing a bit with the big timers or whatever, but no one was really checking for them like that. Until Wayne he literally kept them afloat for so long until Drake and Nicki and them lot came along with Young Money. So, and yeah, it's definitely like I never envisaged that they would be still around in 2022 from like 90, like I said, maybe 97 when I first checked for them. Between then and 99, because I think Juvie dropped in 99 with the 400 Degrees, and I love that album too. So yeah, to be fair, like their early stuff all day long, I think the early stuff was very, very dope. When it got to like, you know, the Young Money stuff, I wasn't interested at all, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of Wayne's solo catalog either, but he was a hip hop megastar. You know what I mean? Probably still say he is a hip hop megastar. He's one of
definitely
the most prominent hip hop artists. And he taps into both. Like, not a lot of artists can speak to the youth and speak to some of the elder lot as well. And he kind of does both. See both people, both sides of the coin, giving him respect. So you have to give him his props for what he's done. He's been rapping since he was like a child, literally. And he genuinely loves hip hop. Like, you can tell.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Stuff like that. He's got major respect for hip hop, and you can tell he just loves rapping. That's why he's got a million mixtapes. So I ain't got a bad word to say about Wayne, to be honest. But I don't listen to his music. I wouldn't sit at home and listen to his stuff. But I got respect for Wayne just for what he's done in his career and how long he's been at it. Like, you have to have a genuine love for it to be doing it for as long as he has, man. And he's built the biggest label ever. So you have to respect it, whether you like his music or not. So yeah, I'd have to go with them guys.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. Anyone who follows me on titles, you know what I mean, on the timeline or whatever will know. Like you said, I ain't the biggest Wayne fan. I can't make it for a whole album. But like you said, you won't really see me dissing Wayne. He loves hip hop. And he does, you know, he's got a passion for what he does. Even now, all these years later, I think I said it on one of our other episodes. The few verses I've heard from where he's been popping up and dropping verses, I've gone blank now, but I know we dropped one on the Conway's album. He dropped another one on Tear Gas. He dropped another one on AZ's Still Will Die 2. Just a couple verses I've heard. Like I said, I don't really make a beeline to check for him. But if I'm listening to certain artists and he's on their album, I think he always gives a decent verse. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. At this stage, I think it's still impressive, man. He's obviously still hungry. And like you said, what he done with Young Money as well, he's made an empire there, man. Not a big fan of the artists that are on that, but his artists are eating. Do you know what I'm saying? A lot of these guys that say that are on labels and then branch off and do their own thing, many times not that much comes from it. Do you know what I mean? It's more like an imprint, a name. It was almost like the done thing. I remember when Jay was talking about Beanie Siegel, talking about their fallout and stuff, and he was saying, look, I can't do any more for him. I done this, I gave him his own label, blah, blah, blah. The reason I mention that is because a lot of rappers, that was almost a part of what they want. They want to be signed onto a label. Yeah, they want to be able to have their own label, their own artists and stuff like that. And obviously they're following a blueprint. People like Rue, who kind of were one of the first ones to do that. But But yeah, Young Money, his artists are eating. You know what I mean? They own their music. Literally, Universal they only use Universal for distribution. That's literally it. They own their music. They're doing what they're doing. So yeah, nothing but props in that sense. So yeah, good shout. All right, I'll go with the last one. So my last one was a backup one because I had a feeling we'd pick most of the same as always. So I'm going to go with Duck Down. And I'm actually getting annoyed at myself now because all these people, I don't believe
all these ones you could have mentioned, bro.
Tapped out early, man. I don't even know what happened there. Pressure, innit? The pressure was on. But yeah, Duck Down. Listen, Duck Down, that whole movement, man. Shouts to Leon L on the timeline. He put up a tweet the other day and he was just bigging up the Duck Down albums, you know, just saying how much they impacted his life. I think you've done the same in the past as well. I just don't think they get the shine they deserve, man. When you're thinking about labels and movements
because
and albums,
of the music,
man.
No
doubt. It's very just sort of like, it's very dark, isn't it? There's no doubt.
You're not gonna find that in mainstream settings. You know what I mean? Like
you're not.
But
for heads though, definitely. Like who was I speaking to? I was speaking to someone, and we was talking about what I just mentioned to you about like Outkast being the ones. I'm not ashamed to say it. Outkast being the ones that kind of made me pay a little bit more attention to the South because before it was just really East and West for me. But you know, there was other Southern artists. You know what I'm saying? But it was something about Outkast that was palatable. Do you know what I'm saying? There was something about Outkast that was more enjoyable and more kind of.
You didn't listen to Ghetto Boys? Like they didn't remind you of NWA, that kind of stuff?
Oh, UGK? Ghetto Boys, yeah. Sorry, but once again, yes, yeah, I did. But those were just things where like passing. Like I ain't even gonna front, bro. They were more like the singles. Do you know what I'm saying? The things that blew, I'm listening to, and I thought were decent. Do you know what I mean? But once again, I don't really remember, if I'm being honest, I don't really remember taking my money and buying albums from Southern artists. Like maybe it would be like singles here and there, but not actually buying whole albums. And for me as well, when I came in, as I've said a million times, it was my older siblings that really, you know what I mean, piqued my interest in hip hop. So I was hearing what they were hearing, and they weren't listening to no Southern music. No disrespect to the South, but they weren't listening to no Southern music. It was mainly East Coast. It was me who branched out more to the West as well because of Snoop and all that. But so to answer your question, yes and no, because I knew who they were, knew the hits, dabbled a bit. But it was when Outkast dropped when I was like, yeah, I want to hear more. Like actually, like hearing whole projects and albums. So, you know, it's kind of like that, man. But when you're looking at projects and music being palatable, it's that kind of thing. So, yeah, you're right. When you look at Duck Down, and I guess it was that was underground, innit? It was just, that was underground hip hop. You know what I'm saying? People were...
They were like anti-mainstream kind of... Because if you listen to a lot of that music from then, a lot of them were very anti-mainstream. They were like, fuck the radio.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely, man.
They literally weren't making singles that you're going to hear unless you're listening to a specific radio slot. So like you have Tim Westwood at 9 o'clock on a Friday night or whatever. These are the only times that you're going to hear like those kind of songs. You're not going to hear that all the time. But
and even that, they were radio edits. They were like mixes for the radio. They wouldn't be on the albums. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So a lot of their music just wasn't really geared for mainstream ears. You know what I mean? But then you could say maybe like even someone like, you shouldn't really be hearing "Fuck the Police" on the radio. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Cube and NWA, they weren't making palatable music. They made music that crossed over.
It was the impact,
yeah, exactly. But I think with Boot Camp, I think because a lot of their music was just very dusty and dirty, and you had at the time that they were big, you had a lot more mainstream artists who were making more mainstream music. So you'd have,
of course,
Pat Big, Nas, literally at the same time as BCC were big. So they just didn't have that cross, and they just weren't aiming for that. They were literally like, "This is our shit. It's dirty. It's grungy." So I can understand why they're so loved in the underground and not as much mainstream. So I think they get their due respect, but they were never going to be that crew that was, you know, on Vogue magazine and stuff like that.
No. There's no doubt about it. And New York is very, I mean, America in itself, as we say, do you know what I mean? America is so huge. You only really need to blow in one state or one city, and really you're
That's what
laughing.
Master P was doing. Literally, I'll
Exactly.
never forget reading a piece about P, and he was literally saying, "I can go platinum in Louisiana or
Right.
Atlanta," or,
Mm,
and he's like, I don't need you
yeah.
East Coast guys to even hear my music because I'll go and then the West Coast. Like if you listen to a lot of his stuff and his collabs, he had a great relationship with like the Bay Area, like
Yeah.
just the West Coast in general. I think even
Mm.
still now, like a lot of his features were West Coast artists,
West
man.
Coast
He
artists.
a
Yeah.
lot with like E40 and Rich,
Mm,
like people like that, like they were all over his stuff and vice versa. So they had those areas on lock. And like you said, man, like a lot of my friends and family in like New York and that the East Coast, they don't listen to West Coast music, bro. They just
mm,
not
mm.
interested. They didn't take it seriously. They were like, all
Yeah.
these Jericho guys and you
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean, all
Yeah.
this explicit lyrics and bitches and hoes and all this kind of stuff. That
Mm,
moved over. So I can totally understand, man. If you got your regional, like a lot of these dark guys that we see nowadays, you know, RIP to a lot of these young rappers, but
mm.
I've never heard of them. But in the South, they'll be huge.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah. That's true.
that's what they need. They need their core audience to support them, and they're good.
Mm. Yeah. Definitely, man. And New York's the same. And I was going to say with I could be completely wrong, but I feel with Boot Camp, like you said, they just wanted to make that sound. They just wanted to represent Brooklyn all day, and they were happy with that. They would have been superstars in Brooklyn, but you know what I mean. Anywhere else, it's almost one of those ones where like your casual hip hop fan wouldn't really cared for that. Down. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly. And it's not about that. It's not because the music weren't great, because it was.
Nah,
It's just they
just
just
went
didn't make that
crossover.
kind of music. Yeah,
Yeah,
even like look,
exactly.
the Roots, like the Roots made Philadelphia Half Life. No one really, unless you were a hip hop head, you weren't running to
Yeah,
buy that album. It wasn't until their next album
yeah.
that
Things
people
fall
started
apart when
checking,
people. Yeah,
right, that people actually started.
without a
And then
doubt.
if you say the Organics was like 92, and then you had Do You Want More in about 94. So between 94 and 99, that's a 5 year gap of them like being just the Roots. And then when the album came out, and then all of a sudden you could never
Yeah,
legislate when you're gonna blow. Do you know what I mean? You could never really say when it's gonna happen. But
yeah,
I think that's why it's important as well that a lot of these artists now are talking about independence, because when you look at P and he's saying, listen, I'm selling these out of my trunk. Like all I need you big labels for is to distribute my shit. That's the only thing I need you for,
yeah,
because I've
yeah,
already sold 200,000 here, and
yeah.
all of that money goes in my pocket. So what do I need you for? Like,
Exactly. Yeah,
I thought that was brilliant. And
exactly. It's true. Yeah, it's like Too
I think
Short, isn't it? He was the same.
all of them, E40,
Mm,
that's how in the 80s and stuff like that, he was selling his cassettes or whatever at the back of his car, and
mm.
he's like, I already sold 200,000 of these independently. Like, although you have to pay for the pressing and the mixing, the mastering, the studio sessions, and all that at them times, if you're able to make $7 off your $10 tape and you sell 200,000 of those, you do the math, man. You're laughing.
Yeah, that's insane.
So
No, it's true, man. Definitely.
yeah, man, they made a big impact, because I was always same as you, like about the labels, you know. So early 90s was a bit big on the labels, and then when these southern independent artists started coming through, and you're like these guys ain't, they're talking about themselves. They're not bigging up Universal or
Yeah,
whatever.
son. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
literally talking about
Mm,
everything is no limit. Everything is cash money. The chains, because you remember there was that whole thing of you had to have
yeah,
your label chain and all that kind of stuff. So they really like. I think they really need to get their props for what they were doing.
definitely, man. No
Yeah,
doubt about that. Yeah, no. Fully agree, man. Fully agree in that sense. So
yeah,
yeah, that would be my last choice then. Definitely Duck Down. Just the music they've put out, the classics in their camp. You know what I mean? Regional classics, classics, whatever you want to call them. Um, I'm going to say a standout, and it's hard because it's hard. You know what I mean? Because I want to say Black Moon because it's what started it all. But what I'm really saying to myself is when I think of a standout artist, is when I think of a label,
Sean
what
Price.
artist do I think of? Yeah, and it's got to be Sean P, man, or Helter Skelter in general. But
Mm,
probably would have to go with Sean, man, because when you think about it, as much as I love Helter Skelter, we all know um, he just took that. He kept. sort of like Rain and Cash Money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, literally
you
took
know
the
what I'm
label.
saying? Yeah, he literally took it on his back, man, and ran with it. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying nothing was going on in the background, but it was him dropping his mixtapes, dropping his solo projects. Obviously, we know, Rock was in and out of prison or what have you. I'm not fully sure what Black Moon was doing around them times, but he kept the name alive, man, with his projects and became a star as well. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, I think he is probably, if we're looking at Kings of the Underground, a lot of people say MF Doom and different people, man. I will always think of Sean Peters when I'm thinking about Kings of the Underground. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, got to go with Duck Down. Props to Duck Down, man. The amount of albums they got in their catalogue, man.
You know what I love about Duck Down? They never compromised on their integrity. Like I love labels that, because like G Unit, when they first started and it was hard. It was like you had core G Unit members, Bucks 50, Young Buck 50 and Yo-Yo and Banks. And then when he started branching out, getting the game and all this, but then they signed Olivia, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, how have you gone from this like hard, like gangster, super hard music? I see what they try to do. They try to, get into different demographics and stuff, but I didn't see that shit with Duck Down. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I never
they just
reaching out to R&B chick and all this bullshit. Like they just put out fire music hard, and they knew like how dope they were. You never saw them we're signing this guy and that guy. They had their core squad
from the beginning. You listen to the first Duck Down albums; they were all there. Helter Skelter was on. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Shining and stuff.
Even when they were mentioning names, like even
we didn't know them.
Run from OGC and get caught by all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, because I didn't really know when I first heard the song. And then you're like, oh shit, he's talking about Smith and Wesson, like the group Smith and Wesson. So that was dope, man. I really respect that. They never, they never made any desperate attempts to reach out. So yeah, big props to them, man. Anyone who maintains their integrity in hip hop, man, I got big respect for, because it's easy to chase the check. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what, bro? While we're on that, man, it's actually really good point you brought up, because you brought up what's it called, G Unit, and when they started reaching out with Olivia and all that. What would I don't know, that would have been like early noughties or whatever. But when you think about it, bro, do you remember at one stage, like when I remember I was watching the Windows Shopper video, and obviously you had G Unit, obviously, you know what I mean? You had Olivia, then you had Mobb Deep, then you had MOP. And you had Mace, but really they could have really made moves around that time. You see what I'm saying? Rockefeller done the same thing. Like Rockefeller was signing up everyone. They had MOP at one point as well.
Yeah.
Now Mobb Deep was never with them, but you know what I mean? So it's like what you're saying. People's like they're reaching out and just thinking, yeah, we'll do this, but they're not having the means or I don't even know, like who was getting like that as well. Even Dre was getting like that. You know what I mean? Like just sort of signing up everyone, signed Rakim, never done nothing with him. So it's sometimes a lot about just getting names on the roster.
I think there'll definitely be a point where maybe someone thinks something's gonna be brilliant on paper, and then you like who wouldn't want to listen to Rakim over some fire weeks? Like everyone will be like, yeah, that will sound crazy. Or when you first heard Nas was gonna be doing an album with Dre, you're like, the best rapper and the best producer, put them together, crazy, right? But it never quite worked out that way. So there's probably a load of music that we'll never hear that's locked in vaults somewhere, that, you know what I mean? Because it's business at the end of the day. Because you could see where G Unit was going. You could see that they were like, okay, let's get Game because he's from the West Coast and we've got all East Coast guys here. Yeah. Let's go get Young Buck from the South. Then let's go and get Olivia because she's a singer, and then we've got the R&B market, and you know what I mean. And then you can see where they were going with it. You know what I mean? But then for me personally, I can understand it. I don't like it though, because it doesn't feel authentic to me. And I know the music industry is a load of smoke and mirrors. Like we know that. As a kid, you think for the bullshit, but as you know, it's like you learn stuff as an adult. You know what I mean? That yeah, that's nonsense.
Yeah.
So I can understand why, but I just like the labels that just kept it. This is us. This is what we do. This is what you're getting. Boom. That's it.
No, without a shadow of a doubt, man. And that's how it needs to be at times, man. You got to strategize, but if you can't You know what I'm saying? And who was it that was saying? I think Tupac was saying, in it, man, you can't try and have a war and you don't have the money to facilitate it. You know
That's it. Yeah.
But it's like you're bringing all these people on, you can't do what you're doing if they're man. But yeah. All right, man. So okay, cool. So those options. So let me throw a question to you then. So we, you know, bro, I'm actually still vexed that I flopped at the game, you know, because there's so much labels. Even as we're talking, I think it's bare labels, man. You know what? Let's scrap this one. Let's start again. All right, no. All right, then. So out of all the labels we've thrown out, in your opinion, don't matter what no one else thinks. In your opinion, what do you think is the greatest label of all time? The greatest hip hop label of all time?
The immediate one that springs to my mind is Def Jam, but they've been horrible for a lot of years now. But for the 80s, they were like literally untouchable.
It was the house of hip hop, man.
Literally. And then the early 90s, you know, you're adding Meth, Red, like they were just doing everything right. And if you run through the list of the names that have been on there, like at one point, Def Jam was synonymous with hip hop. Like,
definitely,
you couldn't talk about hip hop without talking about Def Jam. Rappers were very proud to be on that label as well because it meant that you know, what I mean, you had made it. So a lot of rappers were talking about Def Jam in their music. If you just said to me quick fire round and you said name a hip hop label, the first one I would probably say would be Def Jam.
Yeah.
So that's the answer for me. I would just say it's Def. Yeah. You know what I mean? You just associate it with any, like you didn't see Def Jam signing like singers and shit like that. And then like later on it got stupid. They started signing like Trinidad James and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, how do you have Public Enemy and Trinidad James on the same label? Like that's just, I could see what they was trying to do. They was trying to get in with like the younger audience and stuff, but they just didn't do it the right way. But I think for me, yeah, if I had to say the greatest label, I think I'd have to say Def Jam, just for what they've done.
Yeah, man. I think I'll agree with you, man, because when you think about it, like you said, you got Def Jam. When you're thinking about it, there, and not only do we think about, not even just saying, yeah, it's the house of hip hop, whatever you. When you're telling a story of hip hop and looking at hip hop and the conception of hip hop and things like that, the first like real mega like hip hop stars, Def Jam artists.
Def Jam, yeah. Run DMC,
right? LL Cool J, yeah. Public Enemy, as we said. I'm not a Beastie Boys fan, but Beastie Boys. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about the artists that are on there. Like you said, right through to Red, Meth, DMX. I remember when we was watching what was I watching? The Wu-Tang, the saga, the American saga. I don't know how true to life it is, but obviously when ODB was getting signed for a solo deal, it was out of him or Meth going to Def Jam, and obviously Meth went to Def Jam, and ODB was gutted, didn't it? Because he was like, man, I've always wanted to be on Def Jam. Like all my life, I wanted to be on Def Jam. Like I said, I don't know how true to the plate this is, but going by that, if that's the case, you're seeing that, man. People were like, I want to be on Def Jam. So
yeah.
Def Jam's iconic, man. So yeah, shout out to you know what I mean, obviously Def Jam as a label, man, and what they're doing, so, and what they've done for hip hop, man, for the culture. So yeah, Def Jam's a shout. I'm probably gonna have to go with Loud, man. I'm probably gonna have to go with Loud. If not Def Jam, then I have to go with Loud. Reason being, it's just because I guess this can lead into another question, actually. Which label sort of gave us the most classic albums? Do you know what I mean?
Ooh.
Yeah, and when I think about Loud, bro, like
Def
it's
Jam,
almost like just a silent killer. Def Jam's up there, man. When you think about Loud, obviously, and everyone knows, you know, the love for Wu-Tang. But, you know, if it weren't for Loud, I mean, we would have had Wu-Tang, definitely. But you just think about it was Loud, you know what I'm saying, that actually gave them the freedom to be able to still go off and do their independent deals and stuff like that.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, man. So props to Loud for doing that. Steve Rifkin and that, do you know what I mean? So obviously Loud, you got Pun, you got Mobb Deep, you got the Alcoholics, you got obviously Wu-Tang, you got Ray. What was Ghost's debut on? What was Iron Man on? That weren't Loud, was it?
That was on like Wu-Tang Records or something.
I've just went blank for a minute. I was thinking, yeah,
I think
because
that
I
was
know only
Blizzard's, that was Razor Sharp or something. It was like a in-house. I don't know who the distributor for that one was.
yeah, I
But
forgot about
I
that.
know I swear Ghost was on Def Jam at some point. Like wasn't Supreme Clientele on Def
I think
Jam?
Supreme Clientele was. But
I'm not
yeah, I
sure.
just went
Don't
blank for a
quote me
minute. I
on
thought,
that.
what was Iron Man on?
I
Hmm.
swear it was Razor. It was like a RZA label. Let me check, man. I need to double
Yeah,
check that.
yeah. So yeah, so you got all of them artists, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Pun Mob Deep. Who else, man? I'm missing out. Bare people. Loud Records. I
MOP,
said Alcoholics. Who?
MOP.
MOP. Um, yeah, so many, man. I've gone blank now, but I'm gonna go with that because what I love in hip hop and some of the albums that mean the most to me, a lot of them is associated with Loud, man. So definitely, I'm gonna go with Loud. Loud is one of the greatest albums. I'm sorry, labels, man.
Labels, yeah.
So yeah, classic albums, man. I'm probably gonna go at Loud or Def Jam again.
Yeah. I think if you add just like the nineties albums, you probably say Louder Close. But if you go back to Slit Rick and Run DMC and everything else that happened on Def
Yeah,
Jam,
EPMD, all that.
yeah, I think, and then you've got the four alone from EPMD.
Yeah.
You've got Red Band's first three, even the first four, if you want to go down that road.
Yeah.
I don't think you can see Def Jam, if I'm being honest, bro, when it comes to just because you've got and then you've got even all the way up to DMX, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Loud had a great run, obviously, from like the mid 90s to maybe the late 90s, but Def Jam were going from the 80s, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I think just Def Jam is more. If you said Def Jam outside of America, more people will know who you're talking about. You say Loud Records, people are minute less. I don't know what you're talking
yeah. They'll know their artists and their albums, but probably not really.
you wouldn't think that they know Loud Records the way that they know Def Jam. And just the volume, I think that are on Def Jam, I think you just have to give that to them too, man.
100%, man. Agreed. So I was thinking, man, just to obviously because we're throwing light on the labels, you know what I mean, like Def Jam, Loud. We're looking at sort of some of the GOAT labels and things like that, man. So to give props to some maybe underrated or not mentioned labels much. You see what I'm saying? What's some of the ones you'd throw out, man? They may not have a big classic roster, but you know what I mean? They deserve a mention.
You know, a label I really liked was Suave House. I thought Suave House was gold, like with 8 Ball, MJG, Tila. I think like they had some really dope rappers on there, and I just bought the album. What did I buy? I always liked 8 Ball and MJG because I just thought that they were smooth as shit.
Yeah, definitely. Especially MJG, man. His flow's mad.
See, I was always an 8 Ball guy because
really?
8 Ball finds their pockets, man, and he was smooth as fuck. MJG was more he was more like the pimp, like more raw. But 8 Ball was just like that guy he's just smooth as shit. I hear that. Man. So I've always really liked them. But then I bought the Tila album just on the off chance. I don't even know what made me buy it, but I just saw it one time. I was like, oh, I'll try it. And that album was fucking great. Like the production, and he's a dope rapper as well, man. Peace of Mind. I'll never forget that album. I listened to it a lot. Then you had was it Mr. Mike? Mr. Mike,
yeah.
He had a dope album. And then you had Crime Boss. He had a dope album. Beats were dope, like T-Mix. It was making some crazy.
He killed it, yeah, man.
For a long time. And I just don't think they got the props that they deserved. Because if you look at their albums that came out on their label, even the Suave House like compilation album was dope as well. Like they had a lot of heat on there, man. Tony Draper, dope.
I was gonna say it's only really him and like T-Mix and like maybe 2 or 3 producers that done most of all their albums, isn't it?
Dropping some fire. Even that like In the Middle of the Night on the MJG album and Shine and Recline, like these beats.
That's a repeater for me, you know. Shine and Recline,
crazy.
These beats, man. That's a repeater for me. They do proper.
So yeah, there's a tune on Tila's album called what's it called? It's the first tune, and it samples the Run DMC Run DMC tune is fucking
No, I'm
incredible.
not familiar with that album,
So
bro.
when
I
I
don't think
first heard it, that's what made me
went
go,
through.
"Oh shit, this guy could be
Mm,
good," because I'd never heard anything from him before. And then as you
mm.
go through the album, like the consistency is really good. So their quality was high. Swaff House, man. So they don't get
Yeah,
enough for me.
yeah.
Who
They
else
went
should I
for a
say?
stage of doing a lot of good remixes on people's albums as well. Like you'd go through a stage doing a lot of good Swaff House remixes. I know Looney's had a few, um, and even the artists were beginning to be on more even East Coast albums and stuff like that, getting a bit shine in the mid to late 90s. I'd be seeing them more. But yeah, that's a good shout, Swaff House, man. Yeah, good
Yeah,
shout.
man. I'll go with Swaff House.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, man?
Oh, why not throw out, man? Rough Riders, definitely. Do you know what I mean? In a sense of, I know obviously there would have been a branch off and been like a baby label, but just, I think there was a time when, man, they had the producers, obviously the in-house producers, obviously they had the artists, you know what I'm saying? And I know Dragon ain't, you know what I mean? He ain't someone that people really look for like that, but I've always thought Drag was dope, man. I think he's got one of the sickest voices. I've always loved his flow. And I think Rough Riders, their whole, what they do, their posse cuts don't get mentioned enough, man. And I think Dragon always killed the posse cuts, man. So I think Rough Riders is a good movement. I know it was maybe more of a movement and a whole a crew more than just sort of like a label, but the whole Rough Riders D block, got to give them props, man, for what they do, because sometimes it can just literally be X or Locks you're thinking of. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, definitely them. Loonies, New Tribe, that whole movement as well.
Scarface was a new tribe at one point, right?
Yeah. Am I mixing them up? Scarface. No, I'm mixing. No, yeah, he was running with New Tribe for a little while, but his main movement is I've gone blank, bro. I've gone blank. How can I forget, man? Rapper.
Yeah.
Rapper.
But I'm thinking, I remember seeing New Tribe on, I think it was a Diary album. Pretty
I
sure it
think
was a Diary.
I'm sure there was a time and he's running with them. I definitely think so. If not Rap a Lot. But yeah, man, and obviously as you mentioned before, and I'm going to give props to Rockefeller, man. Reason being, you may see discussions I've had on a timeline, man, where I say I actually think Rockefeller was quite a weak label. The roster was pretty weak. You see what I'm saying? I'm not talking about the time when he had MOP and all that, because he never really done anything with them apart from them being on tracks. But when you think about Rockefeller, the label, I think the roster was pretty weak. Obviously, apart from Jay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, do you know what I'm saying?
Beans.
Beans.
I never got
really
into
a Bleak fan.
I was never into Bleak. I never really got into the Young Guns. I know some people were saying that they was this and that. I wasn't feeling that.
Never really got into
to be honest,
that.
they're very mediocre.
Yeah.
PD Crack,
Obviously,
I never.
Mill.
There was a couple verses from him, but I was never really big on him. So that whole like State Property, when all that was Freeway, I didn't fuck with Freeway. So yeah, I agree with you. Outside of Jay and Beans, then you had a Mill, shit like that. I was like, nah,
bro, come on, man. Nah, definitely, it weren't a strong roster. But the reason I'd say I would still give them a little mention is because of just the birth of it, man. Just, you know what I mean? No one signing Jay. Obviously, I don't know if it was an age thing or whatever. But he was just like, let's do our own thing, man. And what it's become, you know what I mean? Maybe not as a label to say, all right, there you go, you've got this artist, that artist, but what it's become, going on to Rock Nation and everything like that, they're doing a lot, man. So obviously, you got to give them the props and that. But yeah, man. So there's a lot of labels, man. There's newer labels as well. Who would you think of newer? Obviously, Griselda's got to get a mention.
Griselda and Trust.
Trust, definitely.
I think Nas with Mass Appeal, I think he's done some good stuff. I think he signed for Sean and a couple of other people, which I think is dope. But another label that I don't think gets enough props is Jamla with Ninth Wonder.
Say that again, sorry. Which one? Who?
Jamla, Ninth Wonder.
Oh, right. Sorry, the line cut out. Yeah.
Yeah, so with like the Soul Council, like probably one of the best collaborative producer groups at the moment.
Mellow as well.
Huh?
Mellow group as well.
Mellow again. I love their quality control. They don't put out no bullshit music, man. You know what I mean? If you see Mellow, you know that quality is attached to that label.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say those are the ones right now that I'd say is a label that I will check for if they said that they was dropping some stuff.
Definitely, man. All right, so let me throw a question for you before we wrap up. Then, if you as an artist now, an MC, there's a buzz around you. Literally, you could sign to any label, past or present. They might not even exist anymore. Just for the sake of the episode, what's the one label you'd sign to if you had your way?
All right, we'll do past and present. Past, I would have definitely signed to Death Row because that was crazy shit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I would 100% have signed to Death Row in the past. For the present, the obvious, man. Actually, maybe not. I'd probably go with Trust for present.
Same.
Because the difference for me between Trust and Griselda is Trust have better quality control.
Yeah.
Griselda kind of put a load of shit out and you're like, what's that bullshit? But when it's Trust, it's like, I don't know. Even if they do drop a lot of stuff, it seems to be higher quality than I get from Griselda. Like the Liz and Boldy James and a few others. Benny dropped some Sopranos. I don't know if that was Griselda though. I think that might have been BSF. But that Sopranos shit that he did was not good. So although Griselda drop a lot and they are my current favorite label when it comes to music, I would sign with Trust because Ransom, Spesh, Shay Noir, that is a high quality label. Like, they don't put out no trash, bro. Like at all. Everything that they drop is on top. So I will go with Trust.
Yeah, I agree. If I'm going currently, definitely Trust, man. For me, there's no weak link in Trust.
There ain't a weak link, no.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas for me, Griselda, as we know, there's a few weak links, man. You see what I'm saying? So, like literally a few weak links, man. There's probably 2 or 3 weak links in there that I wouldn't want to hear any project from. But just in the sense of what they're doing for hip hop and have done, obviously the respect level is through the roof. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, but to just be with who I want to vibe with.
So yeah, I was gonna say, do you think that this might sound like a crazy question, but I think that Griselda don't get their deserved props. I see a lot of people saying they're bored of them and this and that, but I'm like, okay, that's fine. If you don't respect what they're putting out, that's cool. But for them to make the music that they make and be as big as they are in this era now, I don't think that gets appreciated as it should because
don't.
Music they're making and they're not lead. I mean, the whole shady thing. As soon as I heard that was happening, I was like, nah, that's a terrible idea because we know what happened over there. You know what I mean? Unless your name's Eminem or 50 Cent, it's not happening. They're not really gonna shit. It's gonna sound watered down. Like what's gonna happen over there. But apart from that, Griselda on this as a label, I think they made very smart moves. They just kept their name out there. Yeah, so if you hadn't heard of them, I just smack you over the head with some more shit. Okay, cool. You ever heard of us? Okay, here's Benny. Here's Benny's album. That's great. Here's our WWCD album. Okay, that's great. Do you know what I mean? So there's going to be something there that someone's going to like. Whether you like Benny, Conway, or Westside Gun more, there's going to be one album from at least one of them guys that you're going to say that is fucking quality. That is a really. Do you know what I mean? So just for the aesthetic and the era that we're in now, for them to have that whole 90s feel, but now I think is really dope. I just think they're in trouble of giving people too much of the same, and some people are getting a bit fatigued from their sound. I keep hearing people like, I don't want to hear those fucking ad-libs again, or do you know what I mean? I don't want to hear Alchemist beats anymore over Griselda. I don't want to hear this and hear that. But like what we were saying about Duck Down, they know the audience and they're giving their audience what they want.
That's all it is. I mean? That's all it is, bro.
So you can't please listen to Hit Boy or whatever.
This is it. You can't please rap fans most of the time.
Nah, that's it. You can't.
That's what I'm saying. Because when you think about it, we all know, right? From, I don't know, 2014, 15, 16, whatever. We know what Griselda represents. We know their sound. We know who they work well with. The reason I say you can't please rap fans is because I'm just going to take Benny for an example, yeah? if Benny does a Hit Boy or something else, whatever, people are complaining. You see what I'm saying? If he goes and works with Alchemist for Talent Talk 4, everyone's like, yeah, he's back with Derringer, back with Alchemist. They're happy. Oh, I'm bored of that sound. Listen, this is Griselda. So if you don't like that sound,
Don't listen.
then check for something else. But
That's it.
they don't get. They deserve their props for what they're doing, the movement, what they've done. They've created. They're like an. I don't want to say they're a new Wu-Tang because they're not. They're Griselda. They're not Wu-Tang at all. And I don't say that in any disrespect. I mean, I don't want to compare the two because they're completely different. But the reason I throw out the name Wu is because you think about what was happening in that sort of, you know what I mean, 93 to 97, 98 run. Yeah. People would have, oh, I'm bored of the Wu-Tang sound. Oh, the Wu-Tang sound same. Oh, I'm tired of hearing karate and kung fu and all the rest. Then don't listen to Wu. You see what I'm saying? That's what it is. This is the sound that Griselda gives you. This is what their fans love. And I like that they don't try and deviate from it. In fact, I like that they have their artists inside of Griselda. If they want to do a little bit of deviation, then you can. If you don't check for it, you don't check for it. But on a whole, their label represents that sound. And that's what, and I hope that they stick to that. Just like the props we gave at the beginning to Duck Down, I hope in 10 years' time, people are talking about Griselda the same.
They will be. That's what I'm saying.
This is what
appreciate it now, because I don't think people appreciate what they've done up to this point because it's taken for granted. Because West Side Guy will say certain things, I'll be like, yeah, he's right, you know. Like, he's like, you might say I'm this and that, but I've had this album, that album, that album. And he's like, you can name all your greats, and they ain't got albums that are as good and as consistent. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Some people say that, you know, he's not a good rapper and whatever, but certain things that he'll say, I'll be like, yeah, he definitely had a big hand in piquing my interest, because if they weren't around, if Griselda went about over the last few years, who are you really checking for? It'll be quite dead.
This is what I mean. I fully agree. Yeah, everyone knows I'm not a West Side Gun fan. You know what I mean? I can't listen to him. In fact, I was saying he's actually ruined a lot of songs that I like. You know what I mean? And I'm being blunt, man. He's actually ruined songs that I like. You know what I mean? I'm glad when he's not first on the track because I can skip it. I say all of that to say, even though I don't check for him as an artist at all, my respect for him is through the roof. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what he represents. I know what he's helped bring into the game. You know what I mean? Probably in my top 5 at the moment, you're going to have Benny in there and you're going to have Conway in there. You see what I'm saying? So that's 2 of the movement that he helped usher in. Like Conway has said himself, he's the brains behind it all. You see what I'm saying? So the respect level's there. For a lot of people, I may say, I don't really check them as MCs, but what they've done for the culture, you can't take that away. And that's exactly how I see West Side Gun. I got so much respect for the guy. I just don't like his music. Give me instrumental albums from West Side Gun. I'm happy, man. but other than that, no. Griselda's the team, man. Griselda and Trust for me right now. But you're spot on though with the quality control. Spot on. I was listening to what was I listening to today? Ransom's No Rest for the Wicked. Is it No Rest for the Wicked? So now am I mixing it up with Conway? So that again? The last one, yeah.
Album. That was dope, man.
Yeah, so I was listening to that. I was in the gym today listening to that.
That was dope, man.
Yeah. And even just that track with him and 38, man, that track on there. And I'm just listening. I'm thinking these are elite MCs, you know. Everything, and I've said it before, I'm not the biggest Ransom fan, but I think he's probably one of the best rappers in the game right now. But I'm just not the biggest fan.
Definitely.
Which sounds like a contradiction, but we'll get into that another time. Just for him, I just think he lacks charisma for me. So sometimes it's a bit of a chore to listen. But I think lyrically, he's probably one of the best rappers in the game right now. No doubt about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, Trust is just the standards that they're putting out. So even though they put out a lot at times, like you said, man, I just think the quality is there. I think the quality is there, man. Even 38, he went through a stage where he's dropping a lot, but the quality is always there. But you know, we're gonna go back to our second ever episode. Was it Overkill? That's a slippery slope for me, man, because I'm from an era where give me an album today, I'm happy to wait 18 months to another one. You know what I mean? Exactly. So when we're just getting too much, because what happens now, I listen to something and I think, right, I heard this for time, and I'll check to see what album it's on, and then I think, oh yeah, I forgot about that album, because I just feel like so much comes. And I know you just spend time with what you want to spend time with, yeah, but then there's still something about you that thinks, oh, I want to check this though. I want to hear that. So there's something, not because you feel you have to, but like I'm a 38 fan, for example. So I could still be listening to 6 Shots from 2 years ago. But then he's dropped so many since then. You want to check them out, but then you might find yourself forgetting about what was dropped. So
I was just going to say, I end up forgetting some stuff dropped because I'm like, I'll get to it at some point.
Definitely.
And then someone
I
will be
even
like,
heard that Conway. Yeah, exactly. I even heard the last Conway drop.
I didn't hear that until this week, or
I've not even played it
this
yet.
week. I think I played it. I was like, oh, I actually like it. It was
Forgot
good.
about
But
it. I've not played one song.
I haven't listened to. There's another one called Drillmatic. He did one with Drillmatic. Organized Grime too. Still haven't listened to that. Okay. And Conway's my favorite rapper. But when it comes to this, I'm just like you, bro. I'm like, yeah, I need a break from hearing.
Yeah, man. We're not 17 no more on the bus going to college.
I don't want to just keep up with because then you're gonna miss some stuff. And I think it's good to spend time because even the Joey album, I listened to, and initially I was like, yeah, all right, beats, rhymes, all right, cool, whatever. But then you listen to it again, and it sounds better. You listen to it again, it sounds better, and you know what I mean. It keeps going. So I like when people have put albums together because that's the feeling that it gives you. Like, wow, this is good. But I feel like a lot of artists now are doing TikTok albums. You know what I mean? Songs are 2 minutes long. Albums are half an hour. Yeah, you know, comes and goes, and they're literally looking for that viral song or that viral moment rather than putting an album together. But I think Joey put an album together. So that was good to hear. It's good that for me it got better over time. Because initially I was like, okay, I could take or leave it. But the more you hear it, the better it gets.
I agree, man. I agree. I actually played it 3 times today. So I'm saying, not out of chores because I wanted to. Do you know what I'm saying? It's one of those ones where I think I heard it the day it dropped, and I didn't go back to it till about 2-3 days after. And then it's just stayed in rotation. Do you know what I'm saying? I think it's a brilliant album, man.
Because I try to avoid the Twitter hype. If Twitter's saying something's this, that, or the other, the chances are that it's hyperbole. So a lot of times I ignore all that white noise. Because what's a classic today was trash. Like, you know what I mean, 2 weeks later. So I thought it was a classic when it dropped, but now a week later, like, it's not mentioned anymore or it's trash. Okay, so I gave you a little bit of time to breathe, and then it's definitely music that's got feeling.
Nah, I'm feeling it, man. If you was to rank it, what would you give it at this moment in time?
When I first heard it, I would have been like 3.5 max. It's definitely sitting at a 4 for me. There's a couple songs that I could do without, but it's a 14-track album or something. So again, that's not bad. And it's something that I could put on and just let it run. You know what I mean? I don't have to interrupt it and skip and all that kind of stuff. I haven't heard the song with your boy Puff on there. That's not on there. Like, I've deleted that.
You never played it. That's funny.
Never played it. As soon as I saw featuring him, I was like, I've got no interest in that
funny.
at all. So I can't say whether that song is good or not, but the songs that I do have, the vast majority of them are very good, and I'm catching more and more as I listen to it. So yeah, man, very good album. So it's sitting at around a 4 max for me.
Yeah, I'd give it the same, to be honest with you. I'd give it a 4. Like you said, 14 tracks. Out of that, there's probably 3 maximum that I don't really I can not have. But the ones I love, man. And he's spitting, man. I really like it, actually. It's definitely one of the ones I've given a lot of attention to. No, he definitely did, man. I'd give it a 4. Yeah, I'm probably going to end up liking it more as well because, like you said, man, what I'm trying to just do more and more is just do away with that pressure to hear what's out. Do you know what I mean? If I like something, I'm just spending time with it, man. I don't really care. Like, there's no falling behind. Do you know what I mean? You hear them and you hear them. Like I said, like we just said, Conway's one of my favorite MCs at the moment. I haven't even heard his last project. I actually forgot about it dropping. So it's just about that one, just spending time with it and spend time with, man. But yeah, Joey done a good job at this, man. Definitely.
Yeah, man.
Man.
So the last ever Man Knows Hip Hop podcast. which feels a bit crazy to say, to be honest
It
with you.
does, man. It does.
But
It does.
we'll be back, as we said. We'll definitely be back, new and improved. No more Man Knows Hip Hop podcast. Won't be as misogynistic. The new title. We'll be definitely more inclusive with the new title. So stick with us. We will be back. We'll let you know when we'll be back. It won't be too long, so you forget about us. But once again, just thank everybody who's watching right now. If you made it to the end of this video, we do very much appreciate you. And we will be moving on up to a whole new level with the new stuff. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll keep you updated, keep you informed, and keep you on track with what's going on with it. And yeah, just do look at our past videos. This is a moment for us. You know, we've given a year of this. So yeah, we just want to appreciate you guys for sticking with us, and please do continue to do so. So for me, the last ever Man Knows Hip Hop podcast, your boy Slack, and my co-host in the building.
Yes, E Major, Man Knows Hip Hop, the podcast that loves and celebrates hip hop, man. We will be back. Appreciate all your support and everything, man. And you know, this is episode 28, but I was thinking about it the other day. We didn't number on any of the reviews or anything like that. So we've actually hit you quite a few times this year, man. So in the 1 year anniversary, we'll be back new and improved, man. So yeah, like that said, stick with us, man. Really appreciate all of you that have done so far, man. But yeah, bigger and better, man. Much love. Peace. See you soon, man.
See you on the other side, people. Take care.
Peace.